Hey, welcome to the Beer and Bullshit Show, episode 82.
Woohoo!
Second time. I'm your host, Chris Bennett. Everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We sure did. What are you drinking tonight?
I have something that I brought home from this summer, and it's called the Hoptometrist from Oklahoma. The Hoptometrist, and it is the brewery is Roughtail Brewing. There you go. And I already had one of these, so I know it's good. But it's got kind of a funky label. I don't know if you can see that. Let's check out the funky graphics.
Oh, cool.
Try not to spill beer on the computer. Here we go. Anyway, it's Oklahoma, beer town, Oklahoma City, beer town, definitely. So it's kind of yellowish. It's not quite the amber color. Excellent though. Excellent beer. Really good. I think it tastes like about 7 or 8%, I think. Or they call it a double. What is it? I don't know. It doesn't say on there. So it's probably like 7 or 8%. Tasty. It says drink fresh. Do not age. I had to try aging one just because I don't like following instructions. Anyway, that's what I got. So what about you, Amy?
Oh, I'm drinking the only thing a Virginia girl could be expected to drink this time of year. My typical
Mint julep.
No. My first 2016 bottle of my Hardywood bourbon gingerbread stout.
It's that time of year.
It's the season. 10.6 and outstanding as always. I don't think I really need to say a whole lot about it. It's perfect.
Well, this has been a traditional favorite of yours as long as I've known your beer tastes, right? It's I guess it's one of your local breweries that comes up from time to time, but this is their special barrel-aged gingerbread, right? It's different from their regular gingerbread, or is it the same seasonal they have every year?
Yeah, I split a bottle of their gingerbread stout before I came on. The bourbon barrel is definitely more special. It's a little bit harder to come by. At least it was in recent years. It's a little bit more available. Yeah, but it jumps up to 80, and it gives it just a little bite. It's killer. I sent Chris a bottle, and he tried drinking it cold. I drink it at room temperature, and I think it's perfect at room temperature. If you drink it cold, it's too boozy. It's just thick enough, just spicy enough. It's like excuse me. It really is Christmas in a glass. So I actually Thanksgiving night, I did my Thanksgiving up in Baltimore, and I had last year's Sunday morning from or Christmas morning from Hardywood, which is their coffee aged gingerbread stout, and that was phenomenal as well. And hopefully, I talked to the guy down at my beer place, which, like I said, ironically is a garden center up the street, but I may be able to get all that next week. So if I do, I'm gonna try to get as many as I can and hang on to them for a bit, because that one's one of the ones you normally stand in line at the brewery for hours and hours.
Cool.
Good shit. What about you, Chris?
I am going to open up last.
Ooh, yum, yum, yum.
Been holding on to dear life on these special ones because once they come into our, it goes quick. So
Say what it is, because for if people couldn't see the label.
it's the Chocovesa.
Oh, okay. I had one of those recently, and it just tasted a little different than I'd remembered it. Like, I guess the batch changes from time to time, but the one I had was all like, tasted more like a, I don't know, it didn't have the chili spice in it that I was expecting, but it had more of a, I don't know, felt like a kind of like a holiday beer. So I don't know if that's just I remembered it wrong, or, but it was still pretty tasty in a small glass.
Did the first one you have, was it the Bomber, the original collaboration Chocovesa?
It was a bomber. I know that. But
And that was the original, but because it was a collaboration, they couldn't redo it exactly the same way, but they did it pretty close, gave it a different name, and hence it's the Chocovesa for the holidays. So anyways, it's not 100% the same, but it's still close enough for me. It's not the original. The original to me was in my top 5 favorite beers. But
how long ago was the original?
3 years ago.
Okay, yeah, it probably was then. I think that was the first time I had it. Was probably around that time ago. So,
Stone doesn't do its own version of it in the Bombers anymore. And I remember I was heartbroken after all of the collaboration was gone, because it was just like a limited edition thing. And because everybody loved it so much, that's why Stone started putting it out. But they had to do it a little bit differently, just because the way the laws and everything are with the collaboration beers.
I don't know if I want to try to understand it, as long as we realize it's a little different. I guess.
It's a little different. It's still an excellent beer. It's definitely one of my favorites, especially come wintertime. I like the little bit of spice, and I like it.
I think it's a. I guess it's these. I don't know what you call them, like the Christmas winter spices. What do you? I don't know. What are the clove? Does it have clove in it?
No, it's got I don't think so. It's peppers. Well, no, it's got the pepper. It's supposed to be like a Mexican hot chili.
And I'm reading from the bottle here. It's got cocoa, coffee, peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Combination between your regular winter beers and your like Christmas beers.
Yeah, I think it was the cinnamon and nutmeg that seemed to dominate the flavor to the point where I couldn't really detect those other ingredients. So
I don't know. I really like those flavors in my nice, thick, dark beers, wintertime beers. They make me happy.
I promised to send you a Prairie Bomb, so make sure you PM me your mailing address, and I'll get that out to you.
Awesome. You want one of my Virginia beers?
If you could send me something, that's fine. Yeah, anything.
Jim Bab, sorry to cut you off. Don't you have a birthday coming up?
Yes, I do. How did you know that?
Because I think we did an episode. On your birthday, or like a day before your birthday, or something like that. So
nice.
I have a question. Do you have any more Prairie Bomb?
I have a few. I do have a few. Perhaps you want one.
Can you get Prairie Bomb out where you are?
Nope. No, these were I picked these up in Oklahoma on the way home from this summer.
Okay, if you ever want any more Prairie Bomb, let me know, because I can just run down to St. Louis, and I know a place down there that carries a lot of Prairie Bomb, and
really?
I can get it. I can get you some. Yes.
Cool. Well, I'll be interested at some point. Right now, I've got a few left in stock. So,
do you want a regular gingerbread, or do you want a bourbon barrel gingerbread?
To ask that question is to answer that question.
A bourbon barrel gingerbread.
But I realize it's hard to find, so either one is fine. Whatever's, anything.
I,
I'm
I
good for
picked up I picked up 4 bombers of the bourbon barrel today and 2 of the regular gingerbread. And my beer store down the street has a ton. So they make for great trading beers because most people outside of the state can't get them.
Cool.
They're good.
Awesome. So many great beers out there around the country. It's really makes me want to travel more, just to try more beers.
That's usually why I travel, is for beer and food. I'm like, man, we need to go to New Orleans. Well, you don't want to go for Mardi Gras, do you? No, I want to go off season so we can just drink and eat.
Now, where would you go to eat? Would you look for the Cajun cuisine, or the French cooking, or the soul food, or Southern cooking?
Every single bit of it. I would gain 10 pounds down there. That's a lot on me.
Yeah, that would like double your weight. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I would just go down there and eat out, and hit as many different places I could. The soul food, get up for breakfast, get some shrimp and grits, and eat some alligator, and then all the other seafood, and definitely the French food. And God only knows what the beer is like down there, because I think the only thing I've had is like Abita, and that doesn't really count as New Orleans, I don't think. So just Louisiana.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't think of a. I mean, do they have there must be. I'm sure there are craft breweries down there that I don't know about, but I'm wondering, is it a craft brew scene, or is it just more like huge ass beers? And it's really a volume thing, not necessarily a quality thing on their beer.
I think during Mardi Gras, it's probably just a clusterfuck of garbage beers. But with the cuisine down there, there has to be a decent beer scene. There can't be a foodie city like that and not have excellent beers.
You're right. Yeah, it's definitely got to be there.
It's just probably they keep it to themselves because they're assholes.
I could see you maybe going out and hunting your own gator and bringing that home, cooking that up.
Oh, yeah.
How do you hunt gators? Do you just use a knife, or what? I don't know. What's the traditional way to harvest a gator from the swamp?
Probably, or my AK. Might be a little overkill, but it'll get the job done. Take it back to Baltimore and put some Old Bay on it. Probably be good as shit.
Or you could use grenades where you just like throw them into the swamp, and like then the gators like just come belly up like out of the water.
Flamethrower them out.
Yeah, but that would I don't know if that would taste very good once you sprayed them with burning kerosene. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd cook them on the spot. You don't really want to barbecue in the swamp. Skaters eat you alive.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it might attract some unwanted company. I took one of those swamp boat tours down there. Have you ever been on one of those airboats?
No, I haven't, but
they have. It's like the kind they have in the Everglades. It's like got the big air propeller on the back, and you just go through the swamp, and there's like some very interesting dwellings back there in the swamp. People with just like these swamp shacks and pigs on the front porch, and just I guess it's a very natural environment. So it's cool.
That's most essential for.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be maybe left alone in the swamp too long, but cruise through on a swamp boat, pick out a gator, get back to Emerald's for dinner. Sure.
With a very well armed tour guide.
I don't remember him being armed. He might have been concealed carry. I don't know. Saw plenty of gators though.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I would. I've got a friend down in Florida who lives in the middle of the state in the swamps, and he's got one of those boats. Him and his dad both have one, and he's invited me down a few times, but I just never really. It doesn't sync up with when I'm able to get down there. But to be able to take one down there in Louisiana would definitely be cool.
I think somebody said there might be like an LP convention coming up down there. Seems like, yeah, you got to come to the LP convention. I'm like, no way in hell. They're like, it's in New Orleans. I'm like, well,
okay. Yeah, no, I definitely. Oh, speaking of Libertarian Party conventions, did either one of you suffer through the debate between Adam and Augustus?
No, I was curious about it though, but I couldn't figure out who to root for, so I didn't even. It's probably online. So you said it was not pleasant.
Well, I kind of expected to see a cat fight, and what I saw was basically Adam pumping his chest, and between the two, it seemed like they were kind of licking each other's buttholes a little bit. No,
in a good way or in a
in the boring kind of way, like it was their first time doing it, so they were timid, They didn't go tongue to butt, It was just.
What were they? Was it a debate or was it just what? What was it?
It was kind of a debate, where one would get up and speak, and then the other one would get up and counter and say what was different, and
Well, what was there? What if it's a debate? What was the point of contention?
It was a little bit of everything. It was they went through different, capitalism, nationalism, different, the different brands of libertarianism, the right. The thing is, they really didn't disagree on a whole lot. It was I don't know. It was boring.
It sounds well. You know what I can't stand are these quote unquote debates where there's no clearly defined statement for or against. A proper debate says, libertarianism, is completely, incompatible with nationalism. Yes or no. Taking yes would be Adam. Taking no would be, so there's something specific that to keep it grounded instead of just, Facebook's full of stupid arguments that ramble on with no real direction or conclusion. I don't know. So would it have been better, you think, if it had been more focused on specifically, it's just specific points of contention instead of just kind of wandering from thing to thing?
What would have been better is if us three would have been the moderators who had been asking them questions instead of just letting them come up and speak on their own as to what they wanted and back and forth, letting them kind of choose.
Oh, there was no moderator?
No moderator. If there'd have been a couple of assholes moderating them, preferably with beer, you could have thrown some questions at them that really could have just, got them going. But it was like,
Chris, Amy just came up with a brilliant idea for the Beer and Bullshit Show.
Oh, where we get them on the Beer and Bullshit Show. They have to have
we moderate a debate, okay? Right? So there'll be some point of contention, okay? And we also will grill them on their beer preferences, but it'll be I think that could be great. Who would be some potential candidates for such a debate on the Beer and Bullshit Show?
Oh, Augustus, definitely. Because you got to admit, if nothing else, he is quite the character. Whether you like him or not.
I've never met him. Never met him.
I met him once, but his beer choice is Ghost Blood.
Yeah, so screw that. Yeah.
Interesting guy. Actually, believe it or not nearly as creepy as you'd think. And I don't know if he'll see this or not, but whatever. I mean, hey, people sitting there talking about him on the internet. He's surprisingly nerdy and docile
Did he use that? Didn't he have sort of like this theatrical 19th century Southern accent that he was trying to employ there for a while? Or
it's the kitchen, baby. Going in. Sorry, I got interrupted by a cute, like, little 5-year-old. No, yeah,
his real voice or his theatrical voice?
He's got an accent, but yeah, he did. He kind of did do like this weird thing online with some of his fireside chats, I think is what he calls them, where they when I met him, I didn't recognize his voice as being that way. You want to say hi? I got a menu.
Say hi.
This is Alessandra. She is getting ready for bedtime.
Hi.
She says never bedtime.
I don't blame you.
I get this one out of the Paula. Yes, you. Come on. You can't be on the show.
Bedtimes are rules. We don't. Oh no.
But no, I think Adam would be a pain in the ass to have on. I think it'd be fun to have like Augustus versus like Austin Peterson.
I think we should only have one asshole in the debate. Can we limit it to one asshole versus somebody we like, or at least two vaguely neutral, potentially assholes? I don't know.
But Jim Bab, who would be preferable for the beer and bullshit show? I mean,
okay, I got it.
Anybody?
I got it. Okay. The topic is libertarian dating. Okay. And there's a panel discussion featuring, let's see. Adam, Larkin Rose, and Adamo. We could get Adamo in there. Yeah, he seems to have a way with women. Ian Freeman, right? Ian Freeman has some controversial dating preferences. So
Isn't Ian's the one who like says it's okay to have sex with a 12-year-old, isn't he?
That he was accused of saying that, but he never said that.
I caught a bunch of different stuff. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily one way or the other because I've never spoken to him, or I think I've met him, but it was kind of one of those things where I didn't really give two shits about him. So,
well, he got in trouble because he is he does just want to talk about that subject when everybody else runs the other way. Right? It's like age of consent. Who wants to talk about that? Nobody. So, but he does, and somebody asked him. They said, "Yeah, would it be okay? Would it be okay for a I don't know, I forget what it was, but a young person to consent, or how old do they have to be before they can consent?" And Ian said it's none of his business. That's really all he said. It's like
so if that's the case, Jim Bab, we might as well throw in what's his face. Couple of years, actually about a year and a half ago, he ran the you know who I'm talking about.
You're not talking about Brad Spangler, are you?
Yes.
No child rapist.
No.
There's controversial dating habits, but child rape is not one of those things that's controversial.
No.
Okay, then we'll strike that from the record.
Sorry, Brad, wherever you are, but no.
Was it one of those guys though? I don't know if it was Ian or which one it was. It's been a minute since I touched on the subject. Wasn't one of them dating like a 15-year-old girl when he was like 30?
I've met Ian's girlfriend, and she is young, but she presents herself as an adult and acts like an adult, and she's not like prepubescent or something. So other than that, it's really none of my business. But hey, that's why it'd be fun to have on our libertarian dating panel to really giving tips to all those all those libertarian guys that have trouble meeting a girl.
Dating panel. Don't you think we'd want libertarians trying to get a date like on our show numerous of times, Daryl W. Perry?
Right, he should be on the show as well as a we'll bring him on as a panel of experts as part of our panel. How's that?
Someone who's not controversial in that particular.
I mean, yeah. Repeat, Amy.
I purposely don't date libertarians. I either go. I always end up with somebody who's generally a little bit right of, and you know, we find common ground. We agree to disagree. But at least, you know, as a guy, they generally tend to hold like the moral higher ground. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of the libertarian guys just freak me out. Not you guys.
I don't date. You know what? I don't date libertarians either. But that's just because I'm married. So.
Yeah.
Well, I converted my wife. She was a conservative. Then I converted her to be a libertarian. So. Right.
It's easier for guys, I think, to make their own libertarian females than it is to try to find one.
And I dated like liberal chicks, and I was just like, I could never marry a liberal. So my wife is like, "Oh, I'm this, that, and the other." And I'm like, perfect.
Anyway, poor libertarian dudes, single dudes out there.
They're gonna stay single, trust me, because they're all weird and creepy.
They're all weird and creepy.
Thanks, Amy. I love you too.
You guys are my buddies. I'm talking about like the Ian Freemans of the world and the Adam Koketches and, you know, those pretentious pricks like Austin Peterson. And
see, I don't think they're representative. I think that's just a class of people that I don't care what their political beliefs are. I would not recommend anyone. Although Ian seems like an upstanding guy. If he wanted to date my daughter, though, that I would definitely try to interfere with that. So
yeah, beat up. Non-aggression principle would go straight out the window.
No, it's just that he has his own tastes, and that's fine. But
he's fucking Jim Bab.
What's that?
Fucking creepy.
Okay, I'm not going to date him. So there.
Yeah, but you know, Amy, you know, there are a lot of people out there that would think that Jim Bab and I are creepy too. So, you know.
You guys are idiots. You guys are cool. I tell you another one that I like. I think some people call him a celebritarian, which I don't think so. I think he's one of the most down-to-earth guys I've met. And I truly adore him as Jordan Page.
Well, of course.
So I think he's genuinely good. He's been here and stayed at my house and played a show for me here. And I spent a lot of time with him, and he's legit. If like one of his kids grew up to be like him and wanted to date my daughter, I'd be like, yeah, okay. You know, you got a good dad, you got a good family, you know, that would be okay. But he's one of the only ones I can think of off the top of my head out of the big name libertarians that I would even come close to.
And Bob Murphy. Yeah.
I don't know Bob Murphy too well.
Oh, okay. You'd
As long
like
as,
him.
as long as he's not 30-something sticking it in a 15-year-old.
Yeah, you would love Bob Murphy. He is hilarious.
He's brilliant, and he just seems like a super good, down to earth dude. He's he is a celebritarian, but would never act like he's any different than anybody else. So,
And even Molyneux, if he wasn't such a pretentious prick, I'd probably.
and a Trump supporter.
I'm dating a Trump supporter. God forbid.
Ah!
It's been a slight contention, but you know what? We agree on enough that it's okay.
So as long as you won't be burning any flags, I guess, in the household.
We've agreed on burning the UN flags.
Okay, I guess that's a step in the right direction.
Actually, we were talking earlier, and he was going through the constitutionality and everything of it, and he actually thinks that Trump is wrong on that one, which I mean, he doesn't agree with him on everything. He basically didn't want to see Hillary and hated Johnson. I can kind of understand that.
So naturally, the fascist is the go-to guy.
Yeah, it was a tough election year because I mean I don't think any one of us really had anybody to stand behind, and
I stood behind nobody, and nobody did quite well this year. If you noticed,
nobody did win.
Nobody voted. The majority of the people didn't vote.
54% of Pennsylvanians voted for nobody for president. 54% voted for nobody.
Yep.
But for 9 years ago, he was one of the guys who told me when I was a Fred Thompson supporter that I needed to look into Ron Paul and that I didn't understand enough. I had a whole slew of my friends telling me this. And I was so wrapped up into Republican Party politics that I really wasn't trying to hear it. Eventually, I was like, all right, I'm going to give this guy a chance. So, I mean, I guess, 9-10 years ago. And he's one of the guys who brought me around on Paul. So we've known each other for a long time. So I mean, I can't give him but so much shit. He's not dumb. He's not like a total right-wing nut job, but he's got
some issues though.
Because I mean, I people going that had been really big fervent Ron Paul supporters. Leaning towards Trump. And
how does that even happen? Name one position that those two share.
They were both really hated by everyone else. Maybe
is that it? I mean, Ralph Nader is hated too, but so I mean, is that the only thing it's like, oh, I'm going to just support whoever the other people hate more? That's hardly a political philosophy that's going to get you very far, is it? I mean,
I agree with you. I mean, that's why I didn't get on the Trump bandwagon, but
let's just hope that the actual Trump bandwagon doesn't pull up outside to load you on, right? I mean,
no shit. Well, I don't think I'm going to get deported. I've been here since before. Well, my family has been here since before America was America. So.
Yeah, but what if you were a suspected flag burner? What if you weren't patriotic enough?
That's already been decided in Supreme Court. That's not going to happen. So
Supreme Court.
That issue is pretty much an issue. It's like I don't even know why he's bringing it up because there's nothing he can do about it. The Supreme Court has already said it's protected speech and actions. So, and even Scalia was on board with that. So, no matter who he appoints,
I don't been Supreme Court decisions in the past that has been overturned later in. Oh, I wouldn't say never.
I don't see it happen. Well, let me tell you guys about.
And you see this executive branch as somebody that's going to pay careful attention to what the Supreme Court says he can get away with?
No, they're morons.
Okay, so why is what the Supreme Court says relevant?
it's still the law of the land, you know. And I don't. He can't make an
The law of the
executive
land
order.
is whatever the person with the gun says it is. That's
True.
all, right?
But I have. But I have
That's
a lot. So.
just
I'm not
saying.
burning I'm not gonna buy an American flag from fucking China to burn it in my front yard. What sense does that make?
You should make your own out of like glue and macaroni.
That would mean my kids made it, in which case I'm not gonna burn it.
I felt kind of bad at Thanksgiving hanging around with my family, which is they're kind of, you know, right wing Bible Belt folks. Football game comes on and they unroll the giant flag across the field, and I just mentioned to like one of my daughters, like, okay, here comes the product placement for the Pentagon, you know. And but some of my family members are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, this is where they, you know, the NFL sponsors these patriotic displays to, you know, to drum up support for the war effort. and my aunt's like, but I like the patriotic stuff. I'm like, okay, you know, to them it's everything that's great and wonderful. You know, it's not like they're such a different perspective from somebody that's paid attention to the foreign interventions and the body counts and the prison system and the NSA and Guantanamo Bay. It's like, to me, this is a logo for tyranny. To them, this is like, they reflexively, like, they get mad at that football player because he wouldn't stand for the national anthem. They think that's terrible, terrible, terrible. So when they want to come after people for not being patriotic enough, there's a base for it. There is a base. I saw some public polls after that Trump tweet about putting people in jail for flag burning, and everybody was like, yeah, string them up, yeah. It's a popular view, and it could become more popular as people get more retarded into nationalism and fascism.
I don't know. I didn't see an awful lot of that. And well, okay. I mean, I did with. I have a couple different Facebooks. With most friends, like 4,000, and that's where I keep, you know, like most of, like, you know, my mainstream Republicans and random libertarians I've met throughout the years. You know, just people that I don't want too close to me, but I still am interested in what they have to say. I also have a lot of liberals on there. And actually, believe it or not, quite a few Muslims. I haven't seen a lot of. Most people are against Trump on it for the most part, but I did have a really interesting thing happen in my town while I was in Baltimore, and I just caught wind of it when I got back into town. Like I've told you guys, my town is like 3,600 people. It's adorable. It's historic. The town is it's listed like one of the top 10 small towns in Virginia. Always makes the list. But anyways, there's this little park across the street from my house, and I'm sure you guys have kind of figured out that I'm not exactly the biggest Christian on the planet. I don't hate Christians or anything like that, obviously, but I'm not a churchgoer. I tend to practice a little on some other different lines, but the little park across the street from my house has a bunch of tiny little buildings. It has a big gazebo. A lot of people have their weddings there. It's very cute. But one of the little buildings is this tiny little church that the kids can go in and kind of play on. And it's about as cute as a day is long. It's got this little cross on the top. And we did the grand ceremony, the lighting of the town, which is a pretty big deal down here. And they got a letter from the Freedom from Religion organization saying that we needed to remove our tiny church that has been there since I was a kid. I mean, I don't ever remember it not being there. It's just one of the things that, you know, I'm okay with. You know, I wanted to move to this town. My town is so, I mean, there's more churches than there are people. That's how I tell time in my fucking town, is by the church bells. And they're like, well, you got to take this down. And I'm like, who the hell is this little church intimidating? And they're like, makes people feel non-inclusive. And the Freedom from Religion Foundation is out of Wisconsin. So they're sending all these demands to my mayor, which my mayor is Monsieur de Mayor is a good libertarian, a Christian libertarian, but he just decided to ignore him. So right now we're in the ignore phase of waiting for a lawsuit to happen here in town. And why they decided to pick on us, I'm not 100% sure. I would think you could pick on a bigger town, or maybe you're just picking on a small town because they think we don't have enough money to fight it.
Well, explain to me what their objection was. I don't really understand.
Because it's a town-owned park, and there's a little miniature church inside of it.
Okay.
That is exclusionary.
You mean anybody can't use it? Only some people can use it?
Anybody can use it. It's right here in
Okay.
town.
Well, how is it excluding people then?
It's not. It's they say that it makes people feel uncomfortable because it's overtly Christian, because it's a little teeny church, which is just a little playhouse. It's a little kid's playhouse. It's nothing, and it's not the only building on it. I mean, there's like maybe 8 different playhouses on this thing. These little teeny tiny replica buildings, and it's cute. It's just this cute little town. You go and you take your dogs, you have picnics, you do whatever. And I don't know. I found myself on the side of the Christian right on this one, which is one of the places I don't normally find myself. But I felt like my town was being picked on for something that was retarded and stupid and trivial.
Well, the stupid thing is having a government-owned property to begin with. That's the flaw. Once you accept the fact that this you're going to have this commons, well, you introduce the battle. Anytime the government owns something, now you invite a battle over its purpose, whether it's the school. If you had a government-owned newspaper, people would fight over what the editorial is going to be. If you have a government-owned school, they fight over what the textbook's going to be. If you have a government park, they're going to fight over what the little building's going to be. So
my mayor owns my newspaper, which is even cuter because I like my mayor.
Now that's a problem.
Well, but he and I see eye to eye, so we don't really have any issues. All
right, so
anyways,
he's your corrupt politician.
No, he's not. He's not at all. He's smart. He's reasonable.
But there's no conflict of interest between owning the town newspaper and being the head of the town government.
Plus Jim Bad. Plus, there's no such thing for a reasonable politician.
He's not.
Just say he's your corrupt bastard. Say, yeah, he's a corrupt bastard, but he's my corrupt bastard.
He's wonderful. I love him. I adore him. But anyways, one of the things that we've been talking about, around town, is transferring ownership to a private party and giving the town use of it, so that way it can still remain a public park, but someone private owns it. So we're trying to figure out a way to circumvent these assholes that are kind of, like I said, nitpicking down. Because like I said, I don't have a problem with it. And it was funny because I talked about the satanic shrine that they were trying to put up in somewhere down in the South. I don't remember if it was Georgia or Alabama, Nolens. And most of the people in town, I'm like, oh, because we have all the little old ladies and stuff. I'm like, we need to install fainting couches with smelling salts, oh my. And
couches.
But almost everybody came out and was like, yeah, we can do that, and the mayor's like, yeah, it'd be great for tourism, we can put in the satanic statue. I'm like, so I should get out my Krampus outfit, and get a float for the Christmas parade, which is next weekend. And he kind of laughed and he's like, yeah, there goes a strong family right there. Wait, what the hell is that? But he's got a good sense of humor, and I don't know. We're kind of joking about it, but it's kind of one of those things that's just annoying to tell you that.
It's like, or certain people need to read the tragedy of the commons.
That's really what it is. You know, instead of debating on what's the best use for the commons, we need to just get rid of the commons so people can not have to have these battles.
I argued the other day. I argued with someone said that we have a huge budget problem, and our debt is worse than California. So the guy said that they've got one of the guys that is like poachers and stuff like that, for like a 5-county down in southern Illinois. And I said, why don't we just start selling off state parks?
Why not?
And he looked at me and he's like, hey. I go, well, have you ever read The Tragedy of the Commons? And he's like, no, I've never read The Tragedy of the Commons. I go, well, read The Tragedy of the Commons. And this guy almost literally looks up to me when he's actually, I know him, actually, he works for another beer company. And he follows me on Facebook, and he's beginning to really come my way.
Good.
With the whole liberty and stuff like that. I'm not like, you know, up there with a lot of people that I admire, but you know, I'm slowly getting. And I was like, maybe we need to start selling off some state parks. State parks that aren't profiting.
Or the ones that nobody uses, even. The ones that are
or the visitors aren't going to as much, or you know, the ones like you said aren't being used as much. Maybe we need to start selling them off to maybe the Nature Conservatory, or you know, the Sierra Club, or
right, to protect the parks from the government. We need and value those parks. You want to get them out of the hands of politicians,
right? And he looked at me and he's like, that's not a bad idea. And
Yeah.
And I said, if we're running out of funds, okay, to keep these rangers or whatever, conservation officers, that's what he called them. Okay.
Consternation officers?
Yes, conservation officers.
Consternation or conservation?
Conservation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. From having to such a wide area, it's like maybe we need to sell off these state parks, a certain amount to go into these new state parks that are owned in private hands. Okay, it may cost a little more, may cost a little less to maintain it. We don't know. And do the same job that they were doing before. Okay, benefit the whole concept of the tragedy of the commons, and then slowly just start these state parks to where the government no longer is in charge of these. And
It's a tough sell, isn't it? I mean, when you
He was
suggest to
sold.
somebody, hey, we're going to take those parks and we're going to sell them to a private entity, people were going to freak out reflexively, right?
I was shocked. He did not freak out. And there are a lot of state parks here in Illinois that the visitors or whatever, we might as well just sell them off.
Well, you know, there's a state property in Pennsylvania that I think should be sold off. Before I even went near any of the state parks, I think we've got this marble palace in Harrisburg that it's not doing anything productive at all. It's massive. It's got as much marble as the Vatican. It's on this huge, expensive piece of real estate. And right now it's just being used by criminals. So why not put that for sale?
Are you talking about the state capitol?
Yeah, it's got its like shiny green dome and shit. Like,
yeah,
somebody could make good use of that.
Talking about the Capitol building.
Yeah, right. Turn it into a bed and breakfast. I don't care.
Have you ever been to the Parthenon in Nashville?
I have. Surprisingly enough, was there this summer.
That's a pretty nice park that would be really well to be privately owned. It would make a nice beer garden.
Who the hell thought it was a good idea to build a Parthenon in Nashville anyway? I'd love to know how that came up. They're like, you know what? Nashville's cool and all, but if we had a fucking Parthenon, damn, that'd be the shit. They're like, build the Parthenon. Build it. How did that come to be?
I don't know. I used to go there a lot when I was in my 20s.
It's a fun place, but as I was looking at it, I'm like, why is there a Parthenon here? This is what's going on here? Something just to be something. It's like, well, we had to do something. Well, we built a Parthenon. Okay. All right.
Turn it into a beer garden. Make everyone.
Could it be a beer garden right now? That's probably drinking beer is prohibited there.
Well, yeah, it's a state park, but if you privatized it.
A lot of people don't understand even what a private park might be. Chris, you've probably been to Hawk Mountain, right? Here in Pennsylvania?
Which one? You kind of cut out on that one.
Oh, Chris, have you ever been to Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania?
Mountain in Pennsylvania.
You have been there or haven't?
I have. Yes, okay. I have.
What people might not know is this is a private park. It was purchased during the Great Depression. It was created even when everybody's broke and struggling. A woman raised the money to buy all that land. It was known as a good place to hunt hawks because of the migration patterns and the mountains there, and people were hunting hawks there. And this woman, Rosalie Barrows Edge, said, you know what, I think it would be good to protect these hawks. And she raised the money privately to buy up that land, and it is still a private park. You pay like, I don't know, $5 or $10 admission. It is pristine, as pristine as any national park or state park I've ever been to. It is drop dead gorgeous. The wildlife is protected. The hiking trails are beautiful and well used. There's really no need here for any kind of, to force anybody to pay for this. And to me, this, that's a perfect example of how you can create a natural environment and protect it. I'd say it's even better protected than a federal park. Because it is, there's not trash cans all over the place that need to be emptied or overflowing. People carry in and carry out pretty much everything. They have some toilets that are in there in different places, but it's pretty much a very no maintenance kind of a place. There's very few employees in the park. They're not patrolling to make sure kids aren't smoking joints, or you might have brought a flask with you. It's really just people enjoying the nature, and it's a great place. So if anybody ever says you're crazy, you can't privatize a park, what do you hate? You know, what they just need a more imagination.
A lot of places like that in North Carolina, and I grew up in a lot of places like that. You know, we had to go through a lot of state parks sometimes to get to them, but that was where I did most of my camping stuff as a kid. And you know, as of recently, I've done most of my camping on, you know, like more private land than you know, so-called parks, but it's still the same principle. You don't.
Amy froze up.
Everything else, you know, with it, the animals, you know, the plant life, the wildlife, and no, it's a lot better than any state park because one, you don't have somebody always looking over your shoulder. So if somebody wants to bust out a homebrew, you're good, you know.
As it should be, especially and I think when people understand that it's privately owned, they're also less likely to just throw their garbage there. That's because that's another thing with the commons. People say, well, might as well just throw my crap there. I don't know how that actually happens, but people think that way. They're like, oh, that's no, there's no legitimate property owner there, so I feel like I can dump my garbage there.
Well, I went out to the mountains for a quote unquote like ritual, a pagan thing, where I met Augustus. I went out there over the summer, and one of the like the rules
BYOB for bring your own blood.
Well, no, they provided blood.
Okay.
They and they also provided beer. You know, they had tons of homebrew and, you know, stuff like that. But you know, one of the biggest things was, you know, one, don't dump your trash on the ground. If you have a cigarette, field dress it, put it in your pocket, put it in the trash can. You know, no talking politics, no talking about race, no talking about, you know, religion. No, we're here to basically be simple, have a good time, do ritual, fellowship, whatever, and go home. You know, no problems, no bullshit. And I tell you, there were people from literally every walks of life. I remember pulling into the side of the mountain and having everything from Lexuses, Range Rovers, BMWs to old Ford pickup trucks. You know, I mean, just random. But I mean, you couldn't tell one person from the next. And not a single person. There was no drama. There was no bullshit. It was great. You know, I mean, I spent out there camping on the side of the mountain for the weekend with a bunch of people I'd never met before, you know, just for, you know, I'm going to go out there and try it out and kind of see what these people are like. And, you know, it was pretty awesome. It was bizarre, but it was awesome.
Sounds interesting.
But anyway, that was where I met Augustus, and Augustus is definitely a dork. So.
Okay. What about his eugenics and that kind of creeps me out. If there's anything about like the goat's blood, I don't care. The eugenics. No, you know what? You start talking eugenics and you're not really my friend at that point.
I think that was a lot of his earlier writing.
Yeah, because every time someone mentions like eugenics, who founded Planned Parenthood.
It's a cornerstone of the progressives. It's always been sickening.
That's what scares me. But Jim Bab that 50, I think it's like 53, 54 of abortions in this country, women. So,
well, that
basically we're aborting our own
Yeah, that Sanger's thing was to abort.
And the gal who founded Planned Parenthood was
Sanger.
said that are inferior to everybody else.
Oh,
But
Chris.
yet the left praises these people, praises her.
Hillary Clinton named her as one of her heroes.
Yeah, no, they like get erections just thinking about her and the way she wants to. I mean, remember the left is about as racist as you can be. They're either like actually like pushing eugenics, or they're probably more commonly. I find the bigotry of low expectations to be horrific in the left, where they feel that, oh, this minority group, they're you know what, they're just not smart enough, so we need to pass a special law to make sure that they're not taken advantage of. I find that to be just horrific and disgusting, and way too common.
And one of the things though about Augustus that a lot of people don't understand, and because I mean I do kind of follow him a bit because I find him just intriguing. Even though, like I said, I mean when I met him I was incredibly disappointed because he is just a nerd.
So the eugenics were okay. It was, and the Goat's Blood were okay, but it was he's just a little too nerdy.
No, it's not that. When as far as the eugenics go, those were things that he wrote when he was in college, which he's closer to my age now. So he's in his mid upper 30s, and none of his kids are white. He's got a whole like little band of minions, and not a single one of them are white. So if he were
same with Thomas Jefferson, but that doesn't
it doesn't quite sit right with me, and he doesn't have the same rhetoric and ideology as he did via his early eugenics papers.
Okay, well, fair enough, but I heard something recent from him back when he was in the news for the Goat's Blood, and I didn't and I paid attention. I looked at one video where he addressed the eugenics issue, and he did not recant the position. He said what he was sorry. He said, yeah, I'm sorry. Not because eugenics is a fucked up idea. He said he was sorry for pushing that idea because his enemies had taken it up as well. Okay. And that, I'm like, that's not denouncing eugenics. And that is to me, the ultimate central planning. When you think you're smart enough to shape the DNA of the human race and the future of humanity, fuck you. Okay, sorry, but anybody that's going to entertain those ideas becomes my enemy. Can't really deal with that.
I mean, I'm not a fan of eugenics, but when I decided, well, I didn't decide to have kids. I got pregnant because I was told I wasn't able to have kids. But I always dated guys that looked a certain way, which I still do, just because I mean it's my preference. I like guys with really dark hair and really light eyes, and that's who I ended up having my kids with. But that's my preference.
Yeah, that's not eugenics though.
But that's like selective.
Well, that
eugenics.
Preference, I don't.
Right, for you personally, when you start trying to impose that on someone else, now you're a freaking freak, and that's what eugenics is.
I agree.
I don't know a little bit more. I mean, but I know he's pretty much espoused like Margaret Sanger and whatnot, or at least from what at some point. I mean, I don't. So maybe I should become a stalker.
So is he a Margaret Sanger advocate, or is that just curious?
No, that to the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay. I'd have a lot
Hillary
more
Clinton-
respect. I'd have more respect for him if he just came out and just flat out denounced that ideology and said he was wrong. And we're all wrong from time to time. That's a huge wrong to me. But I'm people can change their mind, and if he changed his mind, I would be much more open to him as a person. But until he does that, to me, he's non grata. So, but
Yeah, because I thought one of the things that he did in college, because it seems like that's not one of the things that he follows so much anymore. I mean, even in his debate with Adam, he seemed a lot more mainstream than I expected him to be from his earlier fireside chats.
how about that weird? There's a weird YouTube video of him like taking acid and doing like making weird guttural noises for like 6 hours.
That was some ritual stuff.
Sorry.
If you've ever seen anybody normal on acid, yeah.
Yes, I have plenty of times, and we never did any kind of shit like that. I guarantee.
Let me tell you what, I was on acid one time. Okay, I was hypothetically on acid once.
Theoretically, if you had been, this is what it was like.
I was in downtown Nashville, and I walked like through the 2nd Avenue and down Broadway, and up the district. And we went to this little place. It was like this place called the Mind's Eye, where they would put these little laser things on your eyes. And you'd close your eyes, and I'm hypothetically tripping balls. And they put this thing on you, and the lasers go through your eyes, so you're seeing this